Hello guys! Yes, I have chopped my hair again, and I love it. I'm finally getting the last bits of damage off. It probably needs another inch or so, but I really like it. It looks better in person. I don't like how it's looking in this, but anyway. I finally got a diagnosis of adenomyosis, that's how I'm gonna pronounce it, which is a form of endometriosis, but instead of the scar tissue that they try and look for then escapes outside of the uterus and causes pain by attaching to other parts of the organ, parts of other organs. Adenomyosis is where the endometrial lining, scar tissue, starts pushing into the myometrial layer next to it. So essentially, a scar tissue keeps pushing into the uterus and keeps making it more and more swollen and larger, and makes it very painful, makes problems with your bladder, and all the surrounding organs. So I found it out by having an MRI done, a pelvic MRI. And the only way I found out to do that was like on Instagram reels of other women that have been, in pain and had weird symptoms on and off. And in my case now, the last 10 years, which you guys might know if you remember videos from years back, that I've been struggling with my health, and you remember the distended belly and all these things. I can't even list all of the symptoms. Like, right now, I'm in the midst of you would say it's a headache, but it's very severe. And by the end of the day, it feels like screws, like just being put into my head, and it's all behind my eyes as well. And it's not stress, it's not tension headaches, it's cyclical. It's before my period, it comes on 3 to 4 days, just wake up with a headache, you go to bed with a headache, you wake up with a headache. No amount of, what other people might say, Tylenol or whatever, we say Panadol, paracetamol, ibuprofen, is gonna do anything for it. It just doesn't, because it's hormonal. And all those things like that, like my belly and stuff. I mean, I started eating actual pizza now. I started making waffles and just eating stuff, and I'm like, I mean, I always knew it wasn't what I was eating, because I would go from eating nothing to a different diet, what the doctor suggested, to this and this and this. Oh man. So it has been a long time coming. And when I saw the results from the pelvic MRI, I was like, oh my goodness, I have never heard of that before. And in Australia, the government's done a lot to push awareness of endometriosis. But I don't know why the general public has to know about everything. I mean, to me, that's such a waste of taxpayers' money, spending it on awareness. I mean, that's fine, but that's not gonna solve the issue. The actual issue is medical professionals just ignoring your pain. And I'm sure many of you out there, even if it's not a reproductive organ issue thing, it's a certain type of personality, I think, that ends up in becoming a doctor and a nurse and all this kind of stuff. And it's not everyone, but it's very, if it wasn't in the book that they read when they studied to become a doctor, then it's not real and it doesn't exist. And a month ago, I went to see a gynecologist, but also reproductive endocrinologist. He was on my referral, but you also see a nurse as well, maybe another gynecologist and a psychiatrist, just to get an overall, opinion-based, informed, and what do they say? A multidisciplinary, form of coming up with a diagnosis or something like that. You get a whole team's perspective from every kind of angle. So a psychiatrist was the first one I went to see, and she blamed it all on sexual assault. She already said, so you mean raped? Raped? And then she said it's anxiety. And she said I'm sensitive, and my anxiety is making my brain sensitive, and then that's making my stomach sensitive, sending out false pain signals and stuff like that. So that was great. And then she denied access to me seeing the actual guy I was referred to. And, it's like a lot of people are surprised by that. Well, this has been the last 10 years of my life. And it's what a lot of women get told. That it's all in their heads. And it just doesn't exist. You're making it up. And you're just too sensitive. And it's really, really severe discrimination on so many levels. And I finally finished because when I called to complain, and it sounded like they were taking the complaint seriously from the complaints department of the entire hospital, I then called back and said, hey, I got a diagnosis and your psychiatrist was wrong. Not only, was she doing all this stuff and screening this guy's patients and didn't allow me to see who I was actually referred to, she was outright just wrong. Because I saw a gynecologist who confirmed this adenomyosis and that all my symptoms are hormonal. And it's a very severe case. And she said, oh, well, you must have misinterpreted the proceedings for the day. And I said, no, I didn't. It was confirmed by me twice with 2 nurses. I have family members that went to see this person. And you see 3 people. And the psychiatrist on the day told me I would see 3 people. And I would see this gyno, but that's also getting funding from the government, taxpayers' money. And she completely denied access for me to see him. And nope. So the head of complaints department is also backpedaling so that they don't get put under fire. I don't even know how to even put this into words. And, because I had pretty much given up. And, I'd come to a point of just accepting my situation in terms of, I know that I go through this. I know these days I'm going to feel like this. I know this time I'm going to feel like this. I never had an answer. So now to have an answer, I'm like, and to actually sit in front of a gynecologist who then has looked at the report that the doctor has looked at, who specializes in radiology, and gone, yep, this is the cause of this. This is why you've been so distended. This is why it hurts when you pee. This is why this hurts. This is why this hurts. This is why all the time it hurts. And yeah, that's really good. And there's no there is no cure at all. They want you to be on some type of contraception, which they advise the Mirena, the intrauterine device. But I've been on several different types of contraceptives, and the same exact levonorgestrel, or whatever it is, the synthetic form of hormone that's meant to keep you, from getting pregnant. When in some cases also meant to help give you a steady enough type of hormone so that it maybe helps with your mood, stops you from having a period, so it stops any more scar tissue from forming and all this kind of stuff. But anyone I know has said it's been the worst thing they've ever done. And I looked at studies of it for adenomyosis or endometriosis, and it's they think that maybe you get some relief maybe by the third year that you're on it. So basically, you wait until menopause, and then everything should be finished by then. And that started the whole other range of options. But pretty much, you can never get rid of this scar tissue. So your uterus just keeps blowing up, blowing up, blowing up. And they also found a fibroid. He goes, oh, but it's only a small one. It's half a centimeter. I'm like, okay, but half a centimeter in a tiny space is within a muscle layer. That's so big. And I mean, they found evidence of cysts and stuff like that before. So just because they found one small one doesn't mean that there's not a whole heap of others. But anyway, and it wasn't just a small section they found it in. He said it was diffusely prominent, so everywhere. Was way bigger than it should have been, this muscle layer. An MRI is the only way to see it. It's never going to show up on ultrasound, CT scans, blood tests, nothing. So that would make sense why everything was always normal. And it impacts everything. I mean, your colon is sitting right there, so it's going to cause constipation. It's going to cause all of these things. So it's nothing to do with diet. There's nothing you can do about it. And it's all, symptom management, right? Which is fine. That's what I've been doing. But aside from putting this out for anybody that is interested and had followed along with me, if you have any female in your life that is struggling, I would strongly recommend seeing a good radiologist or radiology clinic and getting a pelvic MRI or an abdominal MRI, because it might explain a few things. And then just because they haven't seen it on MRI doesn't mean you don't have, endometrial scar tissue anywhere else. I can literally go up to your lungs, to your head. I saw someone said they found it behind someone's eyes. And I think it's a really, really big issue. I think a lot more people have it, but they're saying, oh, it's IBS. It's a result of trauma. You're just sensitive. And they're saying it's not a big thing. And on some level, it's like, okay, it is just because you have periods. It is just because you have a woman. But it's a serious disease. It's something that is not normal. That it is outside the scope of what is normally meant to happen, and causes infertility. For me, that's not an issue. I never wanted kids, so that's okay. But, on so many levels, it is just so wrong that it takes 10 to 20 years to get a diagnosis. And I can't believe that I had to look up on Instagram Reels because, I guess my For You page is struggling with doctors or struggling with symptoms that are just, and yeah, something came up that was just, get a pelvic MRI. So that's exactly what I asked for. And those techs knew what they were doing, and the doctor knew what he was doing. Actually just went to the clinic and gave them some flowers and chocolates, because I was like, look, he knew this thing. I'd never heard of this. You know, obviously he must be helping other people, and it's taken 10 years for me to get some answers, so yeah. And the fatigue's certainly getting a lot worse. So that's why I haven't been posting quite as religiously. Right. There's a fly in the room. I'm pretty much just in constant pain. If it is not abdominal, then it is a splitting headache where I feel nauseous. And you know, night sweats. Everything under the sun. Everything that you could possibly think of. So, yeah. Anyway, that's that. I just wanted to say, finally got actual proof that there was something wrong this whole time. And you guys might remember I had a laparoscopy in 2020 in December. And I was like, it didn't work because they said they didn't find anything. Sorry, that blowfly is still in here. I actually called the New Zealand hospital and they haven't given me any of my reports from when it was done, so they could have found something else. And then I just got told they didn't find any scar tissue in the area they looked in. But they can't do that to diagnose adenomyosis. They can't see the scar tissue that's on the inside of the uterus. They were just looking for scar tissue around the ovaries and around, you know, here. So, to explain why that was clear, but my God, I don't know how nobody said to get a pelvic MRI, and instead it was, I mean, the first thing they do is do a diagnostic laparoscopy. I feel like first line diagnostic tool should be MRI. And if they don't find anything, yeah, sure. Because, of course, nothing's ever going to be... everything can be seen until you actually go in. But then they might not find it in that laparoscopy either because maybe it's hiding somewhere else. And sitting somewhere causing referral pain. Yes. Just a fun little nightmare. Anyway, so if anyone's wondering why I'm going so slowly, it's because I don't have a choice. I just have to. I can only do the bare minimum, unfortunately. And I look at people with a normal job and I'm just like, I wish I could do more. And because when you're so fatigued and so much pain, it's not being tired for me. It is this pressure here. Literally, if someone's going like that to you, that is how it feels. Like someone is squeezing above your temples and feels like you haven't slept in 3 or 4 days. That is consistently how it feels. And it also causes my mood to just plummet. Also, it doesn't help that you're in pain. So when I will get to things when I get them. Thank you all so much for being very patient. I'm trying my hardest to get stuff done and stuff out to you, and it's very, very frustrating not to just be able to do things. But just know I am trying, and thank you so much for your patience. For everything from YouTube videos to custom videos to just posting regularly on Clips for Sale or whatever, just, yeah. And thank you for following along, and pass on the benefits of MRI technology for anyone that needs to know it. And what I have is adenomyosis, so Adenmyosis. And yeah, you can have it and not have the classical symptoms, so there you go. We finally did it. 10 years later, got a diagnosis. Okay, that's it for now. Sorry this wasn't an ASMR. I will try to put one up this week. Give me your suggestions in the comments for what I should do.